I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3-on-3 podcast. That's right. You are tuned in to the number one basketball podcast in the universe. I am joined by my guys, my amigos, my compadre. I got Evan over here, Lou down there or to the side, depending where he's oriented. And I got the Pod Mamba in the background, making sure that we continue to be the best and the number one. On this show, man, we have a great lineup in store for you today. We're going to talk about this draft lottery. Wow. That's all I can say for right now. Wow. And we're going to talk about the playoffs in the East and the playoffs in the West. So let's get right into it, man. Wild, guys. The draft lottery happened the other night. All I know is I'm chilling. Honestly, forgot about the draft lottery low key. And then my phone's going off. It's just madness is afoot.
Pandemonium. You
Right.
remember when we used to play the wrestling games? Pandemonium.
All right. Just all types of craziness, man. And lo and behold, Dallas. That's right. The Dallas Mavericks. The ones who traded Luka Doncic.
I love it.
The ones
Absolutely
who
love it.
had a 1-point-something% chance of winning. 1.8. Thank you, Lou, for giving me the exact percentage. 1.8, guys. 1.8. And they go ahead and get the number one pick. They
Love to see it.
Coop. That is wild. Followed by the Spurs. Followed by the Sixers, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, followed by
Sixers,
the Sixers, and
then Hornets, Jazz,
Wizards.
Wizards.
It's wild.
Teams that are going to continue to be bad. We don't care.
Yes, it just gets worse. So, first and foremost, let's start with initial reactions. Ev, I'll start with you. Your initial reaction as someone who is currently located in an area where a team wasn't doing so well, so you were probably hoping that they have better odds. What is your initial reaction?
So I can't go into my initial reaction without going exactly down the lane that you described. As someone that recently moved to Washington, D.C., became invested in the team from the standpoint of, it's a local team. I get to watch how the team's doing, a lot of young players, and in prime position to tank, for lack of better words, for a generational draft pick. So you go through all the motions, you pay additional attention to Cooper Flagg, you're paying attention to Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, you're thinking worst case scenario, you're going to get a number 4 pick, right? And so when the draft gets to go and you're sitting there like, hey, all this year of tangentially watching bad basketball is going to lead to this moment when you get a pick of a player that you're going to be excited to go see for the next few years, only for that to be completely crushed.
Dreams just snuffed out.
listen if I were a diehard Wizards fan, I would be so upset this morning, right?
Let's talk about obliterated.
Listen, right? Because you in no way did you envision you would fall out of the top 4, right? And let's be honest, your mind was really centered around top 3. We're getting one of the top 3 picks, right? No scenario did you allow yourself to dream up 6. So that's my first reaction. My second reaction after that is I don't believe that the draft is rigged, But if it was rigged,
Per
this
sources,
would
i.e., LeBron
be
James.
this would be an incredible way for it to play out and prove itself in the year of 2025 that we're having, where it feels like the nonsense is just up close and personal to us now, right? It's just right in its face. It's not even hiding anymore. It felt like the NBA just put it right in front of us. Of listen,
Wasn't
we're not
discreet.
even hiding there's no discreetness anymore, right?
Oh,
Wait. So you're alleging that this is rigged?
I mean, I don't
Because if you
think it's
feel that way, just
rigged.
say that. Say it with
No,
your
no, no.
chest,
I
Evan.
honestly,
Say it, because you sound
so
like there's an allusion to what you're saying.
I don't think it's rigged, but it's hard to look at the results that came out today, and then aligned with results that have taken place through history. And I'm sure one of you two want to go through it, so
Spit it out, Evan. What are you
I'll
telling me
leave it
right
for
now?
you.
Is it
I'm
rigged or
telling you,
not?
I don't think it's rigged, but
Are you
this
telling me
this isn't
that
a good
they've
day for
done an
that argument.
egregious thing? Okay, so it's leaving. It's up for speculation. Is in essence
Absolutely.
what you're saying?
Absolutely. What I
Okay,
do
then say
think,
that
I
then.
tell well, no, this is what I do think. What I do think definitively is that the NBA last night put in its most definitive referendum against tanking. And whether it be the odds just playing out the way that it did, or some actions behind the scenes playing out the way it did, I think this is the moment where tanking in the NBA changes in the way that it has played out when you have
I hate
a
you so
lottery
much.
that can lay out like
I
this.
hate you so much because that was going to be one of my take. I was like, as much as we hate this, could this be a positive for those teams who are purposely tanking, reminding them that it is in fact an actual lottery and that the percentages
Hello.
may not go your way? So, the whole cliche saying, don't anger the basketball gods.
Right?
Come on now.
I'm just saying. But Lou, I want to get your take on this real quick. Another side of it. Nico's getting a lot of flack, right? The GM
We'll get to
from the
Nick.
Dallas Mavericks,
Mm,
right? For trading Luca.
ah,
And then dude doubles down on his trade by putting, saying we want championship players to play defense, just kind of
mm-hmm,
staying 10 toes down, right? Standing on business.
mm-hmm.
Is he feeling a little bit,
A
qualified? Does
little
he feel
bit?
some retribution
Come
right
on.
now?
What? Vindicated at the highest level. At the highest level. Maniacally laughing. Maniacally laughing.
Evil laughter.
I got AD, I got Kyrie. I got a true two-way player that's coming. Utah, you thought you was going to get a great white hope? Nope. Did Washington? Y'all got somebody else over there for y'all already, man. Let them deal with them tariffs. Look, all I can say is this: like we were just mentioning before, the lose true lottery. It's kind of funny because Mark Cuban, even as a millionaire, you know what happened with him? He won the lotto before and got more bread.
Really?
I love to see this.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
there's a history about
Listen, I learned
Mark
something
Cuban, but
today,
yeah,
man.
no, this is beautiful. You know what I mean? All the heat that Nico was taking. Look at this, look at that. Blah, blah, blah. Lakers made a play for the future, and Dallas put their stake in the sand and now have done the same. Love to see it. Love to see where this is going to go. We know that they're going to take Cooper Flag. And yeah, if I'm Dallas, if I'm Nico, forget Dallas. If I'm Nico, I'm like, yeah, Philadelphia, this is what the process looks like. Let's trust it over here.
Oh, wow.
I just want to push back a slight bit. I know you feel like Nico's vindicated. I feel like this is more like the repo man told the wrong car. And Nico came outside and he sees that his car is still there. That's how I
Look,
feel.
it doesn't matter how it happened. It doesn't matter how it happened.
Man, he's still
Vindicated
cruising the streets,
nonetheless.
man.
That's it. I feel
Exactly.
I respect
Rolling
that.
around. Cool. Because you know what's going to happen? Repo Man not going to come back around again. Not
No,
come back
this
around
people
again.
know that.
Nick. And honestly, man, it is even better now because you have a player that's going to fit better with AD and Kyrie. So Luka's winning. I mean, not Luka. My man Nico was winning right now. Whether it's by accident or by design or by true lottery in itself. Nico right now, nobody's calling for his head no more. Bye-bye.
So I'll say it does definitely buy him time, and it allows him to make a layup of a pick that could turn into a home run.
Buy
right?
him time.
But why? This is why I say
spend
that.
no supermax money.
No,
I don't got to spend supermax money. I get a rookie and a generational talent for the low. Time. It's not buying him time. He's locked in. He's back locked in.
I don't know because the Cooper flag. That's. I'm not, Hans, you my boy. This isn't questioning your acumen, right? But Hans can make that pick, right? Coming up. So that decision's laid in his lap, right?
No. At the end of the day, he has to pan out. We know he has to pan out.
Well, not even flag. There still has to be roster decisions around them. So okay, you have AD, you have Flag, you have Gafford, you have Lively, right? You got to make decisions with that lineup there. Kyrie's probably out for most of the year next year. You still have to make decisions with the roster that put this team in position to be in some form of contention when Kyrie comes back, right? The fan base is still sour on Nico. This doesn't change that, but what it does do is
it does change it a bit. Though.
It gets him. It gets him out there.
It's gonna reflect more on Kid, on how he's able to manage these pieces, more than it's gonna reflect on Nico at this point.
Well, I'll say this though, it does put, although it gives him a little breathing room, it does put Kid and Nico on the spotlight, right? So what are you gonna do with it now, right? You got a squad. What are you gonna do with it now? Also, too, everybody knows the general theme or the overarching narrative of this trade was Lakers thinking long term, Dallas thinking short term, right? So, yet and still, the Dallas fan base and also the whole NBA fan base as a whole is going to look for Dallas to come through some way, somehow, right? In the short term. So they still have some work to do. Some proof is in the pudding. I will say this, there is a kind of historical credence to this about a big player moving from a team and then the other team getting that number one pick. We have the historic one, which is LeBron James, 2010. Signs with the Heat, and the Cavs the next year win the lottery when they had a 2.8% chance. They got Kyrie Irving. The next one to me is not that big because if you look at the percentages, the Pelicans actually had a big stake on that. And this is when Chris Paul was traded to the Clippers. I'm sorry. That trade was X'd out by but anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hash out old wounds, Christian. I apologize. So in 2011, Chris Paul was traded to the Clippers from the Pelicans. The Pelicans win the lottery, and we all know they got AD DeBrow, right? But they also had a 13% chance on that, right? So that's a higher rating. That's a higher percentage. AD gets then traded to the Lakers 2019, and then the Pelicans win again with a 6% percentage, and they get Zion.
I was gonna say Knicks and Hawks had the best odds that year. That's one that I can definitively feel where the Wizards I just tangentially felt. I knew that night we were getting either Zion or Ja. No, shout out to RJ Barrett. He's not neither of those two. But
hey, why do you have to bring up the Chris Paul veto trade, man? What's your problem?
The point that Hans was making is that all these suspect actions either involve the Lakers or LeBron. There's a through line between all of them.
I was finally in a good place about the CP3 veto trade, and now you're bringing up old shit. So now I get PTSD all over again.
Just focus on Luka, fam. Just focus on Luka.
Oh, I will.
That's your CP3 right there, man. Better than CP3, some would say, right?
The NBA owed us. Is that also part of the rigging? The NBA forced that Luka trade for ratings and then promised the first round pick for the first overall pick.
The NBA loves to keep Lakers in rotation.
You sound like Evan dancing around his speculation.
There's a lot of coincidences. I'm just saying.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
Why can't the lottery be?
I'm glad you're saying it with your chest. Glad you're saying how you feel.
Why can't the lottery be shown live? I don't understand. They do it in FIFA. They do it
like they used to do with the.
They showed the ping pong
like they used to do it at NY Lotto with the.
Didn't it used to be? Wasn't the lottery didn't it used to
No,
They
no,
used
it
to
used to
do
be in
that.
an envelope.
They
That's
used to
when
do
they
that.
froze the envelope for Patrick
No,
Ewing
no.
to New York. But anyways, that's another discussion.
Man.
All I'm saying is this, man.
Listen, happy
Whatever
to
the
talk
NBA is
next
doing to
night
get its
whenever you
ratings
want
back
to.
up, whether it's true or not, whether it's tampering or not, it's an exciting time. Let's see what happens next season.
All right, guys, let's move on. Let's move on to the East Coast. Evan is itching right now, man. We gotta get onto this East Coast playoffs, man. We gotta get onto the East Coast. But we're gonna start with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers. Cleveland's gone, man. Cleveland is gone. The one seeded leading the East for the whole year, at one time leading the league until OKC circumvented them, usurped them, whatever word you want to use. They go down 4-1, a gentleman's sweep to the Indiana Pacers. This last game was a lot more competitive than the game before. Cleveland was actually in control for most until the third quarter. Indiana found their offensive groove. Halliburton he hit 4 threes in a row. And then also
Shoot.
they started to defend better, they meaning the Pacers.
Yeah.
Cleveland got away from what was getting them the lead, driving in the paint, attacking Indiana on the interior. I don't know why they went away from it. Highlights are Indiana's defense has improved significantly and is top rated throughout this playoffs. Their offense has also, it's been a little up and down, but it's been consistent for the most part. Also, on the Cavs side, to be noted, their bench was non-existent. They didn't show up. And you also have injuries with Garland and
Garland.
Donovan Mitchell. Lou, I'll start with you on this one, bro. Is it fair to say that the Cavs are frauds? Are they the 2015 Atlanta Hawks?
And I mean, also your coach wins Coach of the Year. You
Forgot about that.
have a guy on your team with Defensive Player of the Year. You know, this team
3
is
All-Stars.
a bunch of accolades. I mean, highest offensive rate, one of the highest offensive ratings throughout the season. It's you have all the accolades. I
Actually,
wouldn't go as
NBA
far as to
history.
say that. Yeah,
NBA history.
wouldn't say that as go as far as to say
NBA.
the 2015 Hawks, but because I think they're actually better than that team. I'm mind blown. Like I'm low key kind of speechless. The fact that this happened,
Yeah.
because they look like a shell of themselves, and if it wasn't Spider, it was nobody. And that's really kind
That's
of what is
crazy.
kind of the most disturbing. It's like everybody just kind of just packed it up. Like, oh yeah, we had a great season. Playoffs, what are those? You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, look, you have a guy. You can't have guys that are supposed to be your second or third option that are scoring under their regular season averages. You know what I mean? The guys like Mobley, you averaging almost 14.7 points when you've been scoring stat lines of 8, stat lines of 6. Unfortunate with Garland being hurt, but you know sometimes it just happens, man. We see that Spidey's been playing out his mind, Herculean efforts.
Averaging over
40-point game,
30.
2 40-point
Yeah.
games is a 30. Yeah, you know what I mean? You give 2 40-plus games, and then you know what I mean, close to it with a 38-point game. So it's like, you know, no knock to him in terms of what he you know he contributed, but at the end of the day, his team didn't show up. That's really all it comes down to. They didn't show up as a team. They didn't look like the team that was the number 1 seed in the East. I don't know if I was go as far to say that they're frauds. I don't. I think maybe. Yeah, you know, something that Gil said, and that's Gilbert Arenas, that may be just something that's plaguing a lot of these teams, especially these top-seeded teams. You're saying instead of playing basketball, they're playing analytics, right? So I'm curious if that's what was in play here. It's like, okay, yeah, these analytics are what dictate our game strategy instead of just going out there and hooping. There's no reason why Siakam and Mathurin or Turner should be, you know what I mean, putting Mobley and you have Mobley and Jared in the blender. Like, this is crazy, right? Like, so I wouldn't go as far to say that they're frauds. I think that they just didn't want it as much as Indiana. You know, you're playing against a guy who has a chip on his shoulder. He's been rated as the most overrated player by his peers. So I think he came in with something to prove.
Yeah, and put a
The
battery in his
huge
bad
confidence
boy.
boost in beating Milwaukee. Yeah, they beat Milwaukee. You have the situation with his pops. He goes to people. And he's talking to guys like KD, asking other players for mentorship on how to navigate being in this space, um, and even being considered overrated and so on, and really just coming in and being effective. And Halliburton has, I still think that Spider was the best player on the floor, but Halliburton definitely has. You guys thought I was
Exception.
overrated? Well, hold this. Second year back to back, I'm back to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I definitely think Donovan was the best player on the floor. I just think Halliburton's team showed up. What are your thoughts, Av?
Sorry.
I think we took a Pacers team and we didn't want to give them the credit for the run that they had last season. We considered, you used the F word. We considered that kind of fraudulent last season. Them making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, especially when they got off to the slow start this season. But kind of like we talked about last week, since the turn of the calendar year, they've been a much different team, much stronger defensively. Their offense remains one of the top ranked in the league, and the depth with which they've played with that they've played with since last year, and to see just continued growth from their bench players and consistency from their bench players. Rick Carlisle has a team that truly knows itself, truly knows its identity, right, and is
Mm-hmm.
comfortable in who they are. I think you see that and you put that against the Cavaliers team now, that this is 2 of the last 3 years that we've seen a team, take them to the woodshed unexpectedly in a playoff round. Is this
Yeah.
year with the Pacers, 2 years ago with the Knicks, and then last year, they just didn't stand a chance, basically a gentleman's sweep against the Celtics. So when you look at this team now, we've had 3 years to see them, and when the brights get the lightest, the question, the lights get the brightest. I said that wrong. The questions that we have about this team: can the double big lineup work? With the guards that are not the best from a defensive standpoint. Will that work? Who is their fifth player? Who's going to step up? DeAndre Hunter didn't do it. Max Strus inconsistent. Isaac Okoro played out of the rotation, right? They never resolved that. Getting consistent production from both Allen and Mobley, as well as having a reliable post offensive option, in the crunch. They never figured that out here in the playoffs. And then, very importantly, Garland wasn't healthy. And I'm not gonna downplay him, especially when I gave him props last week. Garland was not healthy, and so when you lose the creation of Garland, and you have no other wing creators, right? Ty Jerome outshot his coverage, during the regular season. He's great, most most improved candidate, but he's not that, right? It became Mitchell's creation, who's certified from a playoff standpoint, versus a team that's very comfortable in attacking you from multiple angles. And I did not see the Cavs running into a buzzsaw like this and being so ill-equipped and ill-prepared to handle it. But they definitely got exposed in this series. And like I said, now that we're in 3 years of this, right, some serious questions on what pieces need to remain and what pieces need to be shuffled going forward, need to be asked
Yeah.
this summer.
Yeah.
So is Mitchell is Mitchell has Mitchell missed the playoffs is in his career?
I'd have to go back and check. I don't know if he missed one
Because
with
I don't
Utah. I
because
don't
I'm
think so. I
that's
think
what
he
I'm
had a
saying.
lot of first round exits,
I
but I
don't
don't
think
think he's missed one.
but I don't think he's missed a playoff in his entire career.
I feel like he did. Didn't he have like a bad injury one year, like a shoulder or something injury.
I have to go back and see.
We'd have to look.
That'd have to
But
be a
to
Utah,
lose point though, Mitchell, we
He's not
have
the problem.
6-7 years, of certified Mitchell performances in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I hate
Yeah.
when people put him on it. He's not the problem. He's consistently.
Nah. Even Garland's not the problem
He's
because
consistent. Well, Garland's been a
no
problem
toe
except
injury.
for this year. Except for this year, I'll say that because
Garland
Garland
hasn't been held. He's
hasn't showed up.
consistently unavailable
Yeah.
from a health standpoint.
But I'll say this: like Donovan Mitchell has not had the help other people have, the caliber of help. I'll say this: he hasn't had the caliber of help that other people have. But at the same time, there's no excuse. We got to move on to the Knicks. But what disappoints me the most about this Cavalier team is how do you lose yourself completely in this playoff? You all season long have made it a point to win with Donovan out multiple games. Garland's been out multiple games, and your team has found a way to win. And you've been consistent in your team, everybody getting in and making, contributions. And then you've played a specific way, and it's like they were just deer in the headlights. And that to me is very telling. I agree with Ev. They need another piece because outside of Donovan Mitchell, Max Strus can't be your toughest guy. He can't be your toughest guy. I'm sorry. He can't be your toughest guy. You need more.
Oh
need
my
more.
gosh.
But let's move on.
Strus.
We're limited on time. I'm saying that's the toughest roughneck you gotta. All right, let's move on.
I know it's crazy.
Let's move on, fellas. All right. We had a time.
Boy, got a mob. I'm sorry.
A time was had. Fellas. The New York Knickerbockers
Hey,
Come on, put your 3 up, man.
are up
Put your 3 up.
3-1.
work's not done yet.
3-1, not the Kobe line. 3-1 against the defending champs, Boston Celtics. Now, let's get this out the way. Tatum was lighting it up. Game was still close. Non-contact injury. It's been diagnosed as a torn Achilles. He's had successful surgery. Everyone knows 8 to 12 months is kind of the standard recovery time for this type of injury. So you're really looking around the same time next year. So all next year essentially is gone. All next season is gone for Tatum. We wish him a speedy recovery. We don't want to see that. I think even Knicks fans were like, "Dang, you don't want it like that, right? You don't want it like that." I still feel like, regardless of the injury, the Knicks could have possibly won that one out. That's how the tides were moving, et cetera, et cetera. But I just wanted to put it out there, man. As much as we give Celtics flag, Tatum, whatever, man. Speedy recovery. Hope he gets better soon. That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough to go out like that, man. That's tough to go out like that.
Yeah, no doubt.
But the Knicks are here, man. The Knicks are here. Mikal Bridges was turned into Michael Jordan over here, hitting his fadeaways. Brunson was doing Brunson-like things. Cat was showing glimpses of rebounding and scoring during pivotal moments, and doing his other regular turnovers, fouling stuff.
Still not beating the Zesty charges, but or allegations rather.
Never.
And for y'all that don't know, man, that Mikael to Michael's is a French reference, man. Mikael. Okay, like we
Michael Jordan, okay. Michael Jordan Bridges, okay. That's what he turned into. All right, he hit his inner Frenchdom. I hear balling, but let's get to it. Ev, you guys going to the finals, man? Eastern Conference Finals, man. What's up, man?
Listen, print the shirts, okay? Print the shirts, but we're not done yet. One series at a time. I'm gonna close out the defending champs first. I'll echo what you said from the standpoint of I never want to see a player get injured, especially not to that magnitude. I hated to see Tatum go down like that. No ill will to him. I really like him as a player. Wishing him a speedy recovery. I won't say what I text you guys last night, but
that's not for the world, man.
yeah.
Don't
But
put the
what I will
signal chat
say,
out there, man.
what I will say is we were up 9 when he got hurt. We were
Yeah.
going to win that game to
I
go
give
You
up
you
guys were in the
3-1.
credit, man.
driver's seat. For
Relax.
sure.
I give
You
you
And
definitely,
credit,
you
and
definitely in
man.
the driver's seat.
hold on.
You were in the
Let me
driver's seat.
listen. This is my moment, okay?
Oh, my bad, man.
You're good. You're good.
Let
You're
him
good.
drop 38 though. He was on fire, but
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh, this is no, yeah, 42 at the moment, and Brandon.
yeah, that man was
43,
rolling.
43.
But what I will say is, despite the 42, 43 points, his shot selection in that third quarter is what allowed us to go on that 12-2 run to get back into the game. And it's not just his fault, but it is from the standpoint of, for 3 straight games, right? Well, for 3 of the 4 games in the third quarters, they've resorted to pull up 3, step back 3, sidestep 3s. And we've said, hey, thank you for allowing us to get the rebounds, get out in transition, get timely baskets, reduce these leads. Now, the Tatum's defense, he's the only one that had anything going the other night. Brown looked horrible. Drew Holiday looked the shell of himself. Derek White, we need a first half name for him, right?
Yeah, I was about to say he started the first
Yeah.
half like he
Yeah.
couldn't
But
miss.
that's
I was
been
like,
him. But that's him the whole series, and not and Chris Stops, with his illness or whatever.
yeah,
It's been amazing. It's been incredible to see the Celtics offense just disintegrate from the movement that they have. I feel like they only have 2 quarters worth of plays, and once halftime comes out, they're out of it. The Knicks, on the other hand, our ball movement picks up in the second half for whatever reason. You talk about Mikal. I love how we've been starting the fourth quarter with him, right? We're able to get Brunson 5-6 minutes of rest and just let Mikal cook. And he knows, all right, this is my time. And he comes out and he dominates, right? Literally puts the team on his back. You talk about Towns, right? Listen, haters gonna hate, right? But 21-17, 21-15, 23-11. Listen, you could be zesty all you want. You give me that from the center position in 3 pivotal games. All right. So just call him big, call him zesty Patrick Ewing. All right. If we gonna do
call
it.
him the big
Okay.
meow. That's what he
Listen,
calls
Do
himself.
call him
no,
what
do
we
not,
want.
do not
We
call that
about
man
we about
Patrick Ewing. I will
Patrick
not
Ewing,
allow
baby.
the disrespect of a Hall of Famer.
Listen.
Stop it.
Listen,
Stop it,
it's gonna
Patrick
be
Ewing. Come on, he
it's
has
gonna be
done
love.
nothing to
You gotta
warrant him
find.
being in the conversation of the great Patrick Ewing. Come on,
And let me say,
let him be big purr,
for
big meow.
the flack that he gets for the fouls. And listen, this is the good or the bad with it. He's shown his ability laterally in the second half, partly because I think the Celtics just get fatigued and start resorting to these threes. But he's done a better job of walling off Tatum, of holding himself on switches in the second half. Although getting in foul trouble, not getting in foul trouble in the second half to the point where we have to get him out the game.
All right,
The double big lineup has been effective
Ev,
with Towns and Mitchell.
your fandom is showing. Your
My
fandom is
fandom
showing
isn't
with
showing. My
the
my
cat.
3-1 is
Cat
3-1 is showing, sir.
Cat is
Hey,
this
hey,
is what
hey.
Cat is feeding off of. Okay, Cat is essentially doing what Gobert did against the Lakers. Okay, he's getting these garbage points and doing it. You said it yourself, and you've seen it yourself because I've watched these games. The offense moves a lot more fluid with Mitchell in the lineup,
Mhm.
right? Because although at the end of the day, he's not you can throw it down there and get a bucket, right? But the pick and rolls, they're moving better. Brunson's able to throw it above head, like it. It
He's
starts
wild.
going because what happens is they feed Cat out of respect, right? Because at the end of the day, he puts up numbers, right? They feed him. He starts to fumble.
This
They
is such a
go.
hater take.
They go away from him. I'm telling you what I'm watching. Like the way you're presenting it is like he gave you a dominant 20-7. He gave you a cleanup. And that's what I'm trying to put in perspective. Like he gave you a cleanup. What was
when we're
impressive, but I
out
want to get into
rebounding the
that for a second.
Celtics, when we're out rebounding the Celtics, when we're limiting their
What's
second
the
half
okay?
points,
What's the
and
that's
when
the
the threat
equivalent?
of, although he's only hit like 1-3 this series, just the threat of the 3-point allows us to spread the court,
It
open
is,
up the middle for Brunson. And
yeah.
Brunson, listen, best clutch
During
player in the league.
those times of the game's tight.
Oh, okay.
When you guys make your
Hey, yo,
run,
Mama, play the music. He just said best player in the league. Let's
I
it's
said
with
best clutch
Mitchell.
player in the league, clutch player of the year award winner. What are
Brunson,
we
yeah,
talking
Brunson,
about?
clutch
100%,
player of the year. Yeah. Oh, I thought
100%,
you said best
100%.
player of the year. I was about to be like, all
But
right.
what I want to
Get the
say
hate
Bold
out your
take.
ears, Luke.
we gotta move on to the West Coast.
I
So
need to hear clutch.
I will say this.
I don't,
Shout out to
I don't know
shout
how
out to
I don't know how
Tibbs.
they determine that clutch player of the year. I still don't understand how they give those awards.
I-
out.
Analytics.
Yeah, it's an
Analytics.
analytic award. It's
And
points
this is why
per
Boston has been losing.
game in a certain
Boston will
within
never
5
win
minutes
again
when the
because of what they did to
score is
Ime.
close.
Yes. Most points
Ime's
scored
like, he's looking
within
like the color
5
purple.
minutes of
Ime's looking at him like,
what is it, less than 10 or something like,
I
or less
think less
than
than seven.
yeah,
Seven or
it's like
less.
that.
yeah,
Most
I think
points
it's less than
scored
7.
between a certain time limit, yeah, with a score being tight. And
Yeah.
yeah. But
And what I say for Brunson, he's good to dribble the ball off his foot with 30 seconds left. But anywhere from 10 minutes to a minute and a half is he goes Super Saiyan. So I
all right,
appreciate
y'all. Let's move on. Forget what I was gonna say. Let's move on. All right, we're going to the West Coast, guys. West Coast. Been trying to say something for 5 minutes. Let's go on to the West Coast. We have the Timberwolves and the Warriors.
the show's fault.
Minnesota has a 3-1 lead. 3-1 lead against these Warriors, man. Now, I'll say this and then I'll get your reactions from this. This last game, to me, I was looking for Hemi to appear. I had questions about whether Hemi would be Hemi. No Steph. How do you put up 9 shots, 9 points in a game where you're supposed to be that guy? I don't know, y'all. I don't know, man. I'm having doubts about this this Warrior team, man. And that performance from Jimmy, honestly, it shocked me. This was a prime Jimmy time, right? This was prime, hey, your back's against the wall. This is a game that really sets the tone for the series. It puts whoever wins essentially, momentum shifter. Anybody goes on this surprise reactions about Jimmy not being Jimmy this last game?
I think we need to talk about Steve Kerr.
Well, let's talk about Jimmy first, then you can go to Steve Kerr.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like that's in terms of him taking them shots. I think it's a coaching reason why Jimmy
Okay.
didn't look like the
Tell me
Jimmy
more.
we know. That's the stance I'm coming from.
I'm gonna talk about Jimmy by talking about Draymond. And here's what I mean by that. Remember a couple weeks ago when we were saying, Draymond gets this perception of this, great defensive, awesome
Genius.
vision, he's a defensive wizard and so all the intangibles on the court. And it's such a nice way of framing a 6-4 and 3 box score. I feel like with Jimmy Butler, there's so much conversation, and I rock with Jimmy, but there's so much conversation about the way he plays the game, the way he internalizes, the way he feels the game out, right? And his unselfishness, and it's framed in a way that he's an unconventional superstar. And it sounds great and all, but in a game that's a must win, when the best player is out and you are now the best player, definitely the best offensive player on the court, under no circumstances can you shoot 9 shots. I don't care what Steve Kerr's calling. I don't care what passes Draymond's passing. I don't care if Jonathan Kuminga never passes the ball. You, if you're a superstar, cannot shoot 9 shots and me continue to put you at the level that I've put you at over the past 3 years. That's just my take.
He's
I
not
remember
Jimmy
what we
anymore?
saw from him in 23.
He's just James to you, man. He's not here anymore.
Listen,
He's changed.
that's what Brett Brown says. That was an awesome quote.
Madness.
That's who he's been. That's who he's been these last couple games. And the Warriors made a swing on this trade. They didn't swing on this trade for a 9-shot performance in a must-win game. Deep sigh.
So again, I'm just curious as to what was the X's and O's, right? Because we see a game before Jimmy shoots almost 3 times, 2.5 times more shots, right? He shot 26 in the game before, 26 shots, right? Scoring over 30, but 33, I think he had the night before. I just think that from what it was looking like, it looked like Kerr had a particular design for this game, and that game plan just didn't execute. I don't think Jimmy has the voice to be able to say, "Hey, nah, I need that. Give me that ball. This is what we got to do."
Really?
Because at
Jimmy
the
not
day,
have a voice?
with Steph not on the floor, Draymond is still dictating how that flow still goes. Not only on how they talk about Draymond defensive end, who's the person that they said is the initiator of that offense and so on and so forth. Is Draymond. So if I'm Kerr, Draymond sounds great. Jimmy's going to be the initiator of the offense. If we really want to filter and go through him, I think that when he was hot in the game before, it's like, okay, we'll continue to feed him. But yes, he's your primary. He's the best player. He's without question, right? Your best guy on him. But I don't think that Kerr was actually the game plan was schemed for the offense to begin with Jimmy. As me watching it, right? It's still they try to use the same formula as you would with Steph on the floor, which it can't be. It can't be. If we look at Miami, who did the offense initiate with?
But I guess for me, at the same time though, we've all played the game. At some point, you as a player realize the game plan ain't working, and you got to do what you got to do to win this game. Your plus and minus can't be a -30. If you're seeing that Buddy's not going off like he was the last 2 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no Steph. Kaminga's here, but he's not producing, right? At what point do you say, all right, cool, I know this game plan, but this game plan is losing, and you do what it takes? Because
Make it
Kerr is only his reach is only so far. And also, Jimmy's always been that guy to push that line. What's Kerr gonna do? Take him out the game? And if he does, that's on Kerr. Do you get what I'm saying?
But I think it's
that's
just with
your
another
argument,
dynamic of having Draymond on the floor. No, I mean with Draymond on the floor, I think that adds a different layer, right? So you can't do that in mind because
Draymond's an extension of Kerr. You think Draymond's he's gonna object to Jimmy doing what he needs to do to win the game? I don't know, Lou, because especially Draymond and Kerr have gone at it. I don't know. I think it was Jimmy being a little timid and kind of acquiescing to what they have going on. That's what it looked like to me when I was watching. But hey,
I think what you just said is two different things.
He's also shown that in Miami to me too. So,
I think what you just said is 2 different things, right? Being timid and acquiescing to the game plan are 2 different things. So I will give Lou some credence to that, right? Jimmy Butler, 3 months into this Warriors honeymoon, in a game plan, at this point of the season, your game plan is kind of like a ship, right? It's a little hard to just completely steer it in a completely different direction when you've laid in a game plan for an opponent, right? Now I do think you can be more aggressive within that game plan, but if the offense isn't being, the game plan isn't being completely scrapped and handed to you to take the reins and take over, like you could do in a Miami, right? Jimmy has to find his options within the offense. But when it's clear that a team is funneling opportunities towards Draymond, towards Kuminga, if Draymond leads the Warriors in shot attempts, Minnesota's very happy. Okay.
Absolutely. They're like,
And
yes,
yeah,
keep it coming.
yeah. And so if I'll agree with Lou, it's on both of them, right? Both Kerr, there's some Kerr and some Jimmy in there. If Kerr isn't finding a way to force shot opportunities in the Jimmy, right? And we're still waiting on Buddy to have a game like he had previously when it's not happening. Yeah, you end up down quickly in a game that, although it felt like Minnesota was running away with it the whole game, it was
It
close
was
until
very
they went on
winnable.
that third quarter
Very
run.
It
winnable.
was a winnable
Right.
game.
Yeah. So
Very
I
winnable.
think they were kind of like, all right, let's keep a slog, let's keep it close, tough and
Yeah.
defensive, and use our execution to eke out the win at the end. Minnesota just broke them in that third, and then that was a wrap.
Yeah,
Man.
Can I do one thing real
If
quick?
Kerr has to turn around and tell you, please pass the ball to the best shooter in the world, you know what I mean? There's some fundamental issues in terms of the hierarchy in which people see who's on the floor, right?
Don't
Because
say that too loud.
if you're
Pod
telling
Mama
me
might
you
have
got
an
to
issue with
pass
that.
to Steph, I'm saying if you have to tell somebody to pass to Steph, and Draymond, and then you have somebody like like Jimmy, who's looked like as clearly as the second number two guy, and in the press conference afterwards, you say, well, I'm Robin now, or rather, I'm Batman now. He's Robin, and Jimmy has to correct you. There's some fundamental hierarchical issues here that hasn't necessarily been set in terms of, and I believe it starts with the coach. That's where it comes from on my end in saying that.
Can I do something real quick before we move on, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, one, from the Minnesota side of things, let's give Ant credit for, grabbing the game, taking over in that third quarter, and implementing himself into being, I'm the best player on this court. I'm gonna make sure my team wins this game. And it's been impressive this postseason. My boy over there. I'm about to Damus for a minute, Hans. I'm about to Damus for a minute, okay?
I got to give you that though. I'm waiting for that one. I got to give you. I agree with you.
Listen, my boy Juju, this postseason has been incredible.
Listen, he's been, I would say,
golf clap.
One of the
Golf
most,
clap.
outside of Ant, the most valuable player on that team, if not more. Because I feel like he's carried Ant some quarters. Like,
Absolutely.
but go ahead, Ev. Go ahead, man.
Well, no, I won't keep it long.
Fan for your dime, man.
I'll just say that this version of him is what I was saying I saw in the Knicks last year before he got hurt. He had found that best version of himself. I'm not gonna stay on the Knicks. I'm not gonna stay on the Knicks. I'm just this is about Julius Randle. Hold on.
The Knicks play on the East and the West. What you mean?
This
man?
is about Julius Randle.
Bing
To
bong.
see the decisiveness of himself, right? He gets the ball, he's decisive. I'm either shooting it or I'm moving the ball, right? Or if I'm not shooting it, I'm driving, I'm putting my shoulder in the chest. LeBron doesn't fear him. I mean, he has no fear in his heart for LeBron. He has no fear in his heart for Draymond. I've been telling you, he doesn't have fear in his heart for anybody on the court. You're gonna get this shoulder in your chest. And I'm either hitting this turnaround, or I'm going straight up for the layup, or I'm pulling this three, or I'm swinging the ball for a nice pass. It's been so impressive to see, and the part is that he's doing it in the playoffs. That's the part that I love in the boat, but it's also extremely frustrating because we couldn't get this version out of him in the playoffs, and that's why the trade was made.
Absolutely, but also big up to his defensive play as well. We can't overlook that. So big up to Randall. He's been dope. It's been great to watch him play, for sure.
Can I ask you this quick question before we move on to the OKC endeavor? I was thinking about Randall the other night, and he's giving me DeMarcus Cousins energy with
I
his
like that.
toughness and his ability to just his fearlessness. That's what he reminds me of, like prime DeMarcus Cousins, who went at AD, who went against every center and he didn't care. He's undersized, but you're not gonna outbully him. You're not gonna. He gives me DeMarcus Cousins vibes, and I guess that's because I feel like DeMarcus Cousins got a raw deal and should have been in the league longer than he ultimately was. But
Well, Randall's mentor was Mr. Kobe Bean Bryant, and you mentioned that last night.
the
So
Lakers make
Can you,
Lakers
if
make
you
Yes.
if you're gonna ruin the groove of a great show by bringing in the Lakers, could you at least not blow out our eardrums by clearing your throat
Why didn't
before
you
you
bring
do
it in
so?
during the
well,
techno?
you
Because
know what's funny, Evan, is that I did that off of air before I unmuted myself
I
on the
mean,
actual software. So
well,
I'm
put
glad
the
you
sound
told
put
everyone
the
that,
sound
and no one
effect
heard
over
that.
it.
So
Well, no, if you're gonna bring up a nonsense team, man, let me call you out how I feel like calling you out.
Yo.
same
Let's
man.
talk about playoff teams.
Well,
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
wow.
I'm
Oh
sorry.
my gosh. Look.
All right, y'all. Let's move on to the OKC Denver
My
series.
mama said,
Shout out
"Let
to
me
Boogie and
produce and
B.
mind your business." Yes, sir.
Oh man. All right, OKC. As we're recording, guys, the series is tied 2-2. They're close right now. This series has been a joy to watch. It has been a joy. I believe these are the two top teams in the Western Conference, really. Um, so I think we're seeing the two best teams right now play out in the Western Conference. And it's unfortunate, man. The standings never line up how I want them to, but whatever. It is what it
It's the
is.
second time, Hans. This is
I
the second
know.
time.
I'm upset about it. Freaking Clippers lose. Just lose. Anyway, all right. We're not here for that. We're not here for that. I'm over it. We're bringing up old wounds like the Podma, but
You not.
we're not gonna do that. We're over it. Like Evan says, we're talking about playoff teams. Okay, we're talking about playoff teams.
The Lakers are a standout organization, though. I apologize for calling them a
Nah,
nonsense
Ev, we
team.
got you, man. We got you against this Laker fan base, man. We got you, bro. We got you. They're bullies. We got you. Here's my take, real quick. I don't care what anybody says. Winner of this series is the real MVP.
Ooh.
That's it for me. I don't care what anybody says. The winner of this series
Ooh.
is the real MVP. They're the one who
Ooh.
took their team through adversity. They're the one who's going to lead their
Mm.
team to a potential championship. The winner of this series
Mm.
is the real MVP. Clip that, put it on
Mm.
IG. That's our real. That's all I'm saying on
Well,
that.
Hans, I'll raise you. I'll raise you that take because the winner of this series wins the chip.
Oh, really? Even though Denver
I
has
raise you.
struggled a little bit
The
with the
winner
Timberwolves.
of this series
Okay.
wins this chip.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's a fair analysis. I will say about this series, though, one thing I've been impressed about. Well, I'll say two quick things and I'll let you guys talk about it. One, even though I hate it, the play of Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon continues to put himself in the right place and the right time. He just has a knack for seizing the moment. He just knows when to get that rebound. He just knows when to hit that three. He just knows when to get that block. He understands the pacing
Make that
of the
cut for
game.
a random
Yeah,
dunk.
he understands the pacing of the game and stays in the moment. As much as people are lauding Westbrook, which they should, right? Because he's hitting his open threes, he's disrupting stuff. But Westbrook also kind of gives you a lot of the bad with the good. Sometimes he disrupts it too much to its own detriment. Aaron Gordon is giving Denver that balance that they need, right? Disrupting the other team's offense, making timely buckets, but still not shooting his team in the foot as much as I believe Westbrook has sometimes. So I just wanted to give credit
Yeah.
out there. What are you guys seeing in this series, though? Is it living up to the hype, or are we just blowing it out of proportion? Is OKC not living up to the standard of blowing out everybody and really taking command of the series as some things thought that they would? What are you guys seeing out here?
Oh man, look, you've heard me talk about this team like I've talked about the San Antonio Spurs. They're very, in terms of Denver, very similar. No matter where they fall in the regular season, they're going to get in the playoffs, and then they're going to do what they do because you have the best player of the world on the court. And you know what? In reference to the Aaron Gordon comment, right? Aaron Gordon is who Denver thought Michael Porter Jr. would be in terms of
Oh,
how his importance to the team, right? And what his effectiveness and what he's contributing to the team. Because I don't think Michael Porter Jr. has ever really lived up to the potential he is, and I think Aaron Gordon has actually surpassed what the expectation was for him on that team.
okay. I see that.
And then another thing to note is, with Jamal Murray being able to be on the floor, to be healthy, to give you some quality minutes and look like the Jamal. I wouldn't say he necessarily looks like the same exact Jamal Murray when they won the chip the year they won it, but he's showing some semblance of that, which
He's
is
showing up
important,
though,
right?
because
Which has been a criticism.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's showing up.
exactly. And this has been a main criticism of his, right? And we also know that has been also an important piece for their success. Uh, I think one of the knocks to OKC is Jalen. Jalen has, other than the weird stuff with the Gatorade, he hasn't necessarily been the guy that the Jalen Williams they needed him to be like he was in the previous series. And I think for them to win, he has to be that same Jalen Williams. Shea, even though from a scoring perspective, he may not be what we've seen. Again, he still affects the game because he understands his IQ of the game is so high. He can still affect the game in other aspects. So I love to see the battle of the MVPs. Hans, I don't. I think I agree with you. And whoever wins this should be.
Listen, man.
Will the real MVP please stand up?
Hey,
But no, I,
and the
I
league
think
needs to
these two
treat
are
it
the
as
most
such.
complete teams. Yeah, and I think these two teams are the most complete teams in the NBA, and I think that either one that wins uh, should be our NBA champions this year.
So, a couple thoughts to that. One, we talked about OKC and that this was going to be the round for them anywhere. That okay, y'all are at the grown-ups table now.
They're not at the
What
kitchen
are you
table
going to
no more.
do? Exactly, and not against just any team. A team that has championship pedigree. A team that put this out there from where this team was a month ago. I think the coach Adelman has definitely put his name in the hat for maintaining the coaching reins of this team.
You
And
mean you mean Coach Nicola?
listen, sometimes you got to be a player's coach and let your players coach. You gotta find the right mix. Um,
Hey, I feel that.
but in addition to that, I'm with you guys from winner of this series is the real MVP. Neither one of them has had the
Oh my god.
tremendous uh, game that we expect from them
Uh,
yet. That being Shai Jokic, this has definitely been a referendum of their crews, so to speak, right? Of their supporting cast. OKC has the depth to outman Denver, but
mm-hmm.
their supporting cast has not stepped up quite as it has in the regular season. Denver's, on the other hand, while being outmanned, they're playing more consistently as a supporting cast, and that's why we have a tie series to this point, and we'll see where
100%.
we're at in the morning. And to Aaron Gordon's point, you know, I liken it kind of to the Julius Randle discussion from what I mean, and this is how I mean it. There's a narrow prism in which his game is most effective when he's able to figure out, to be balanced in all the nuances of his abilities. I think back to like his fourth year in Orlando when they tried to make him that three, right, and really gave him the reins to do everything. He couldn't quite handle it there, but I do think it prepped him to be a jack of all trades here in Denver, and he's being the best version of himself now.
I think you put it eloquently because if you look at game two, when OKC's others showed up, they blew out Denver, right? But also when Denver played disciplined and, basically put their imprint, their style, on OKC, their discipline, their game style, it's totally different. So it's a battle of the wills. It's the battle of the wills. I love to see it. I'm excited about this series. I really am. And guys, I hope you're excited with us. This is all we have for you today. Don't forget, please check us out on YouTube so you can see our beautiful faces, our interactions. Also hit us up on our social media as well. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. Peace. Take care.
What's up, guys, and thanks for listening. I want you to do 2 things for me right now. 1, give this episode a thumbs up, and 2, be sure to subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us on all the socials at the 3on3 Podcast and send us an email at the 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you, and tune in next week.